let's see, first thing, I don't know if we have to do place value or not with decimals, but let's write it down. Some of you, I'm sure, could use a little refresher here. After the decimal, this first place after the decimal is what place value? First place after the decimal, just like in money, the first place after the decimal, Peter, is the, exactly, it's the tenths place. There's no ones place. There's a ones place in the whole number, tens and hundreds, but there is none on that. After that, it keeps going to the next place after would be, Jacob, the
Hundredths.
hundredths. And make sure you have to put that TH in there. And then you've got the thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. Again, this is kind of like 5th grade stuff, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I'm hoping you've got that down. Let's see, I've got this number 4.8793. The 9 is in what place? What place is that 9 back there? Calvin?
Thousands.
Exactly. Tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. There's no miracle here, people. It doesn't change from one number to the next. The order stays the same. If I had a 7-2 there, this 2 is in what place? Christian, this 2 is in what place here?
You're in the
Working our way from tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. And the reason that's important, people, is because if you were saying this number, how do you say this number? Oh man, we lost a little bit here. You say it as 4. Decimal point is always the word and. Now finishing strong there, how do I say the rest of that number? 4 and. By the way, just like you're supposed to put commas in big numbers, you're supposed to put commas in your decimals really too. There should be a comma here. You start here, go 3, put a comma so you can use that because that's how you read it. Who's got it? 4 and what? 4 and, oh Lutz, come on, do it.
879.
No, you're 879 what? Thousand.
Thousands.
No, not thousands, just thousand.
872 million.
There it is. That's exactly right. 4 and 879,372, and then whatever place this 2 is in, we say at the end, millions. 4 and 879,372 million. By the way, it's interesting to note that this number right here, that 0.879372, is much smaller than the number 1. If you had that much money, you'd have the equivalent of 88 cents. Okay, because we only go out to this place in money and we round up to 88 cents. So don't think that just because it has a lot of digits, it means something big. It doesn't. This is no more than 88 cents. $4.88 you'd round that to if you were at the gas station or whatever it is. Perfect. Look at where. Oh, changing to a fraction. How do you change decimals to a fraction?
We need a new piece of paper.
No, you put this under decimals. I just need a new board. Decimals to fractions. What if I have 0.6? How do I make 0.6 a fraction? There could be nothing easier, by the way, in my own personal opinion. Sammy,
We put it over 10
why over 10?
because it's in the sense.
It's in the 10th place. Or if you just think about how you say this, how do you say the decimal? It's 6/10. It is 6/10. And you just need to reduce it, which is 3/5. Or how about this one? 15.05. If I said to write that in fractional form, Peter, it would be
15 and 5 hundredths.
and And then you'd have to reduce that 5/100 and make it 1 over, 15 and 1/20. Man, boy, you kids are smarter than the average bear. How about this? Now we have to do decimals to percents. What if I have 0.6 and I want to make that a percent? Oh boy, suddenly we've hit the wall. Sammy?
You put it on over 10 again, but then you round it up to 100.
I like how you're starting. There's by the way, more than one way to skin a cat on this one here. You can pick whatever way works for you best. Alright, you make it 6/10, but percent doesn't mean out of tens, percent means out of 100. So, if you change this over 100, you end up with what number over 100? Luke?
60.
Right, because you multiply both top and bottom by 10. So your percent is 60%. Is there an easier way to do that? Oh, absolutely. If you remember yesterday, I believe we talked about this. One way to change anything to percents is to multiply it by 100%. And if you multiply 0.6 by 100, Grace, you get 60%. Or skipping and going right from this to this. Well, let me do this. What if I have 0.88? What percent is 0.88? What percent is 0.88, Gary? 88%. Now let me throw a little wrench at you here. What percent is 0.07? Calvin?
7%.
7%. What, children, is a simple way to change decimals to percents without having to go through this or this? It's just the way it is. To change a decimal to a percent, what's the easiest way to think about doing? Grace?
Move the decimal to the right.
Yep, exactly. You just need to move the decimal to the right 2 places. Okay, no matter what the number is, if it has a decimal or even if it doesn't, you just move the decimal to the right. So let's say I've got 7.5. What percent would 7.5 be? Rule doesn't change. Move the decimal 2 places to the right. What do you get? Just because there's a whole number there doesn't change anything. Peter?
750%.
Exactly. If you go 1, 2, I get 750%. What if I had 0.635 and I said what percent is that? Rule doesn't change, just move the decimal 2 places to the right. Evan? 63.5%. Life is good as we know it. Now, what if I want to change a percent to a decimal? What if I have 75% and I want to change it to a decimal? Well, once again, you know that 75% is out of 100, so you could change it to a fraction, and then you could say, well, how do I write 75 hundredths as a decimal? 0.75. But there's a way to go right from this to this and not really have to go through all the gobbledygook of the middle sort of stuff. Thinking about what we just did, this is the reverse. I'm not going from decimal to percent, I'm going from percent to decimal. Lutz?
Move the decimal to the left.
How many places exactly? You just need to move decimal left 2 places. Now, if it doesn't have a decimal in it, please make sure you understand the decimal always starts at the right side. I just moved it back 2 places and that's why it ended up there. So if I have 6% and I want to make that a decimal, I give you because these are always seem to be the ones that trick people up. Alex, can 6% as a decimal is?
0.06.
Exactly. Decimal starts here, back 2 places means you have to add a 0.06. Feel free to ooh and ah at any point in today's presentation. So that's lackluster at best. How about 15.3% as a decimal? As a decimal, 15.3%. Michael, sir.
153,000.
Sure. I would have just said 0.153, but if you want to go with the technical 153,000s, I'm with you. Way to go with the extra proverbial mile. I'm with you there. All right, now where are we at? Oh, kids. Here we go. Man, we got to do it. Yeah, but this one you better put under percents, though. I kid you not. We have just literally done today. You now see why. $80. We're going to look at 3 different things here, none of which are good. 8.25 sales tax on 8.25% sales tax on a $19.95 purchase. This is ridiculous. Okay, first things first, children. You have a question, Peter? Okay, well, you might grow tired because I'm not gonna call on you for probably 10 minutes if I get to that point because there's a little susplaining we have to do, Lucy. The first thing is this. Okay, the word of in math 90% of the time means to. So in this case, and in this case, right off the bat, we know we need to multiply. Now, you don't see the word here, 8.25% tax, sales tax on 1995, but it's there because you want to find out what 8.25% of 1995 is. So this is multiplication as well. Okay. Now, here is the beauty of being a 7th grader. Okay. How am I going to multiply these together? Well, the first thing is we never do mathematical operations when the thing is in percent form. You need to change this either to a decimal or to a fraction. And sometimes it's easier to do one rather than the other. Okay? For example, and the best thing to think about is this. Okay, 80% of $40. Okay, what fraction is 80%? I mean, you could say 80 of 100, you could say whatever. You could say what? You could say 4/5. You could say whatever. In this case here, I might change it, I might use it in decimal form because 80% is what decimal? If I do our little rule that Lutz came up with, change a percent to a decimal, you just move it back 2 places. What decimal is it? What decimal is it? Lutz?
8 tenths.
Yeah, 8/10. Move the decimal back 2 places. So the answer to this is just a matter of multiplying 40 times 0.8, and that's pretty easy multiplication. You end up with a 0, you get a 32, and if you remember, you bring the decimal back 1 place. 40% or 80% of 40 is 32. Not so bad. Now in this case here, you could still change this to a decimal and do it, and make it 0.75 times 80. Or a quick way is, if you know that 75% is what fraction in simplest form? Kelsey? 3/4. Taking 3/4 times 80 is pretty easy because we do a little cross canceling here. 4 goes into 80 20 times, and 3 times 20 is 60. As opposed to having to do the 80 times 0.75. So you get your choice. And, if you don't like dealing with fractions at all, you can always change it to a decimal and do it and get your thing there. Now this one on the bottom, I know you're getting a little bored out of your skull, but you have to follow me on this last one here. 8.25 sales tax on 1995. First of all, there's no fraction here that is going to look good, so you're left to doing it as a decimal. Now the problem is, what decimal is 8.25%? Peter?
0.0825.
0.0825. Now look at this. So what am I left with doing? I'm doing $19.95 times 0.0825. There is no easy way about this, people. This is why you learn those multiplication tables when you're younger. Because if you don't know them very well, you're going to struggle with this because you'll make some silly mistake. Even knowing them, you might make some silly mistake. But let me do the math for you and see where we end up. 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2, 45 plus 2 is 47, carry the 4, 45 plus 4 is 49, carry the 4. Am I right on that first row, 9975?
Yes.
Second row, start with the 0. 2 times 5 is 10, 18 plus 1 is 19, 18 plus 1 is 19, 2 times 1 plus 1 is 3. Did I get that one right?
Sure.
Yeah, we're not quite as sure as that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the last row, I start with 2 zeros, multiplying through by 8. 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 9 is 72 plus 4 is 76, carry the 7. 8 times 9 is 72 plus 7 is 79. Is that right? Carry the 7. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 15. Did I get that row right?
Yep.
I can't see it now. Let me change the colors. Alright. Nobody said math was always going to be complex. Adding them together. 5, 7, 8, what's that? 10, 25, 2, 14, 1, 6, 1. So, in essence, what we've done is we found that the tax on $19.95 is $1,645,875. True?
No.
Why is that not true? Yeah, I gotta move my decimal in the right place there. Okay, how many places do I have to move that decimal? It's not easy, but it's fun. Christian? 6 places. So here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 1.645875. So my tax is $1,645,875 millionths. Or 1 and 645,875 millionths of a dollar. How often do we sit down and talk about that? Never. But that is true. In its most accurate sense, this is really what your tax is. But unfortunately, children, when the grand people who built our country and our money system, they went no farther than the hundreds place in our dollar system. We only have a penny here. Okay? So that's as far as you can actually go, but you can round. Okay? So your choice is either this. Either your tax is going to be $1.64, or it's gonna be $1.65, because we look at this place after the cents. If this is more than 5, you have to round this thing up to the next one here. So the answer is what? $1.64, $1.65? $1.65 tax. Shoot. So if you buy something for $19.95, when you pay the clerk, you have to take the $19.95, add the $1.65 tax onto it. You're gonna end up paying what, $21.60? Something like that. That was just brutal. In my opinion, that was honestly one of the most brutal things we've ever done. Perfect. What do we got, 10 minutes? No, I've got something even more special. Actually, what I'd like you to do on page 82, look, I just want you to do the practice. Letters A through U. I'm gonna guess it won't take you long to do A through R, but then S, T, and U probably will take you just a touch.
What page?
Page 82. Just the practice problems, those are the letters ones, A through U. I don't think, since it's doing most of the stuff we did there, you should probably just about finish, I would say. Let me know if you have any question on A through U, I guess, on this page.